Hi, my name is Veronica Anderson. I'm with All the Arts for All the Kids Foundation. Today's art project will be animals of the rainforest, and we're going to use a special technique called Watercolor Resist. Today we're going to talk about focal point and how we can achieve that using the elements of art, like line, color, and texture. Today you will need oil pastels. If you don't have oil pastels, no problem. Go ahead and grab your crayons. You will also need watercolor paints. For today's artwork, you will want to glue down your paper to a background paper. I use black for this assignment because of the watercolor wash. You'll want to make sure you put glue close to the corners and put a good amount of glue. We will be adding the watercolor at the end, and we want to make sure our paper doesn't lift off from the background. Use your artist eye to get it right in the middle of your background paper. Now, we are ready to begin. To start my artwork, I'm going to lightly sketch my animal. I usually like having some picture references. By sketching my animal, I am not applying very much pressure. I chose this chameleon to draw. Lightly sketching out my animal. By lightly sketching out my animal, that means my colors are transparent. And transparent means that you can see through them. I can see the original parent page. Soon I'll want to really color them in opaque. That means solid. So as I'm lightly sketching out where I want these different elements of my artwork, I'm aware that my animal is in the foreground. That means closest thing to the viewer. I'm going to overlap some leaves. I'm going to create something that my animal is on. Now I'm going to go back in and darken my colors. As I'm still filling in the color on my artwork, I really want to make sure I mention that you want to fill in the whole picture plane. You really want to fill up these areas with either leaves coming into the picture, but don't worry about the very background part because we will be adding the rain very soon. All right, just a few more mark makings on this and I will have a artwork ready for a watercolor wash. So with my artwork, I really made sure I went back and colored in solid the areas I want to show up the most. And that makes it opaque in those areas. Here we go. Time for the watercolor wash. I'm going to dip in the water. I'm using black, but I don't want my watercolor to be opaque. I want that to be a little more transparent, so I'm adding extra water to this area. I call this the palette. Now I'm using something called a chip brush. If you don't have a chip brush, no problem. I just like it because of the edges. It creates a nice texture for the paint. If you only have a smaller brush, that's fine too. Now that we've created our rain with the watercolor, it's time to add it to our artwork. We go over all of the areas we've already drawn with the crayon, and it will resist. In fact, it kind of leaves this unique markings here of the watercolor sitting on top of our artwork. Kind of looks like rain, raindrops. I just wanted to go over some of the finished artworks and point out how we created a focal point. In this artwork, I think the thick and thin lines of the outline of the animal, as well as the variation of color and the darkness of the rain behind the animal created the focal point. In this artwork, I think color plays a big part into the focal point, that being the flower first. I like that this lemur is kind of hiding in the middle ground. The foreground, very layered and overlapping. Again, you can do any animal you'd like. Here are some student paintings and drawings. I believe the focal point in this artwork really comes into the detail and attention to line. Also, the color being cool colors and warm colors. This artist did a great job. There's one more. I believe the focal point is this bird in the foreground. And I really enjoy the thick lines that outlined the animal, making sure it appeared close to the viewer. Again, you can use any animal you'd like. This technique, Watercolor Resist, can happen with crayons and watercolors, or it can happen with oil pastels and watercolors. Have fun. I can't wait to see what you create.